Hi, I'm Allyson Williams. I teach art history in the School of Art and Design. And currently I teach during the regular semester, fall and spring, I teach hybrid class, lower division art history. It's generally a very large class. It varies from 120 to 225 students. And I've taught it 2 summers fully online, 2012 and 2013. And I teach in using Wimba or Collaborate. Collaborate's what you'll be using if you choose to do online lectures that are live. And I have asynchronous online assignments. And I do many of the things that Bruce said that he does in his classes. It was excellent. He gave you an excellent overview of really good practice in online teaching, I have to say. I do the welcome letter, very long syllabus with everything spelled out about what you need in terms of technology. It's not that they actually listen to very much of it. And if somebody has advised you to give them a quiz on the syllabus, which I don't do, it's actually a very good idea because they don't always read things very well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the process that I went through in developing a fully online class. And it wasn't one semester in the CDI group, though I did do that in spring 2012, and that was wonderful. But I did it bit by bit, and you might have the opportunity to do that because you're taking your you're having your learning cycle about online teaching in the fall, and you have the opportunity to implement some of these things in the spring. And I would strongly recommend that you do that because it is a much larger process than one would ever expect. So, from face-to-face to online teaching, a gradual process. My first foray into this, and it was because actually one of the multimedia professors at San Diego State said, "Hey, Allyson, it might be good if art history did some online teaching, and you would be the person to actually do it because you seem unafraid of technology." And I don't know where he gets that from, but I guess so. I guess because I was the first person in my department ever to use PowerPoint for teaching and that kind of thing. And so I actually asked John Rizzo to teach me how to use Camtasia Studio, so that I could actually learn to record some lectures. And I discovered that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I was never really happy with the lectures. I hadn't developed that lovely way of being conversational with one person in a room like you have. So I thought, not so good. And I ended up teaching a class in summer 2011, same art history class that's online. And so I said, how can I record these lectures? And they said, well, there's this new thing that's really cool, Camtasia Relay. So I recorded all those lectures in summer. And that was very interesting because I'd walk into the classroom every morning and I'd hear my voice coming out from 6 or 7 different laptops. The students were listening to them. My kids tried to listen to them. The father of one of the students, who actually teaches, I think, in finance, he said he listened to them while recovering from a hip injury. They were all over the place that summer. They were nice, actually. I wasn't too unhappy with the way I sounded. But they were a little colloquial for, I think, just putting up online. Me saying, oh darn, I dropped my pencil, or let's see if we can get these lights a little bit lower so the slide comes up. I just kind of didn't want that in there. And you couldn't always hear the student questions either. So there was a downside, but I had them and I'd started the process. So in fall 2011, I developed and taught a hybrid version of Art 259. I had one weekly in-class meeting, face-to-face lecture, and then I had asynchronous online assignments. And this is that concept of having low-stakes assignments, lots of them during the semester. And so what I did was I developed, and I'll show you 1 or 2 of them, I developed online, they were doing textbook readings, they were looking at videos on, video lectures that are available, they went to websites of museums, all kinds of interesting things they went to, and I included those in. Now, the fact that I had lost an entire lecture, I don't think the students noticed anything wrong, and they really did enjoy it, and they said, this one student said, this class works better as a hybrid class than any other class I've been in terms of the online content matching the in-class content. But I felt I'd lost a lot, and I was kind of panicked a little bit when I gave that in-class lecture that I had to get too much done. And so I thought, well, this needs tweaking a bit. And then I joined the Course Design Institute program and learned about all the wonderful opportunities. And I thought, well, maybe I could do live online lectures. And I went to sit in on one of Mark LeMakis' online lectures, and it was fabulous. He was, waving his arms around like I do, and he was doing polling questions, which I don't very often do. But and he was bringing in websites. He had so many things going, and as he said, it's kind of a little bit like flying a plane, and you're sitting in the cockpit. But it is doable. So I slowly learned how to do that, and I had a premonition I was going to do this. So I put in my syllabus at the beginning of the term that there would be some live online lectures. So about 2/3 of the way through that course, I started to do live online lectures where I would normally have my second class. And Andrea came in and sat there with me the first time, and then she did it remotely the second time. So I felt really comfortable. And now I was very happy. So then I really felt like I was absolutely set to teach a full summer session. And so this is how I run my summer session courses. I did Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday live online Wimble lectures that should read Collaborate now. I forgot to change that one. 1 hour and 40 minutes. I had Collaborate office hours, 20 minutes before and after class, plus an hour on Wednesday. And that was after class, I think. And then I also incorporated those web textbook video materials that I'd already made up, and those took a long time to make up. They were based on every chapter. I had one for each chapter in my textbook. Big chapters had 2. And I included something I really like to do during the term, which is send my students to a museum to do an analysis on actual works of art, and I included that, and they submitted it through Turnitin, which is a lovely, very useful tool. I had 2 midterms and a final exam, and I did those on Thursdays. They were formatted in Respondus, and I also used the Respondus lockdown browser. And I had very few failures in the exams, very few failures of technology, maybe just sort of 1 or 2. I was very lucky because I have heard of it being much less secure than that with other people, and you've seen the statistics. So this is the kind of things that I have with my little online assignments. This is an interactive video that the students see that's from the Fitzwilliam Museum in Cambridge on medieval manuscripts. You just kind of poke around in there and have some very interesting teaching elements. And from the end of the course, I have wonderful didactic materials from the Abstract Expressionist show at the Museum of Modern Art. And they have lots of good resources. They have lots of good videos. So the students get to watch those. And I can change those quite easily as things change in the world of art. So it keeps the course very current in the way that sometimes a face-to-face lecture course is not. So let's see what else. Okay, and what I did was I had low-stakes online multiple-choice quizzes. I gave them 2 chances to take the quiz. I took the highest score. And these were not timed. Unlike online midterms, which are timed, these were not timed. And so it was something that was very relaxing for them to do. They learned how to do an online quiz before it became a midterm. So the only difference was that the Respondus lockdown browser that doesn't allow you to move to any other browser is not in effect in these low-stakes quizzes, and it is in effect in midterms. And that's just a little tweak. But nobody really seemed to bother about that. And if one of these fails on the second try and they need it reset, I just reset it for them. And it's no big deal. But it's rare. It really is. Oh, okay. I've got more things to say, but no good slides. So, some things that I realized that when I had gone through all my processes of putting everything together for the courses, when it got to doing the exams online, the midterm exams, I hadn't realized how very different those would have to be from my little quizzes and from the exams I give in class. Because I'm an art historian, I put up a slide. The students in class have, a hard copy exam, and I leave the slide up for a few minutes, and they're answering a series of questions. Because you want to be able to mix every exam up and have every exam different, and you use the sort of the shuffle mode of the Blackboard exam module. You can't do it like that. So I had to learn how to insert images, and also I was trying to assume that these students probably had their books right there. So I couldn't ask stupid questions like, what is the date of Botticelli's Birth of Venus, and have a list of 4 choices, because they can have the slide list right in front of them and pick it. So all that kind of stuff went out the window. And I had to devise questions that really were more sophisticated, they were more theoretically oriented, and were not easy to get to. I also shortened the time that I used, that I gave them to answer the questions. It's actually much longer if it's in an in-class setting. And I give them like a minute per question, so they can't just sit there and look stuff up. And you know it or you don't. And I have found that students have done very well in the summer courses. The grades are the same or better. Those students seem to be very committed. And I have a wide population. This is a lower division GE class. And it's always got a wide population based. All different kinds of people take it. Art majors have to, but other people take it too. In the summertime, I have a lot of students from junior colleges in town because of budget cuts. They don't offer this class, which is absolutely essential for an art major. And so I've done a lot of students through cross-registration. And even those community college students do very, very well. Okay, so I really urge you to try out everything you can in your spring teaching before you hit the summer. Like even devise a hybrid course if you feel up to it, and get half of it done. You'll learn so much, and you'll learn the way things work, because that's in essence how I did it, though I didn't realize I was doing it. Another thing I would say is in a summer class they won't see you, and so you have to kind of, your personality will come through. For me, it comes through in my online lectures, but I'm also really careful to be very, very kind and polite in emails and that kind of thing, because they can get offended really easily, I think. And so I'm very careful. Even if I want to say, look in the blinkety-blink syllabus, please, I don't say that. So anyway, I use a lot of the things I learned in the Course Design Institute in other classes. I don't use journals, for example, in a class that has between 60 and 120 students. It's a lot of grading. But I do use them in upper division classes that have smaller students. So there are all these tools that you'll learn in this that are fabulous for every course you have. And that's another thing. What Bruce was saying about recording his lectures in Camtasia and then realizing he hadn't hit the microphone happened to me in my live online lecture. It was from Wimba, and I thought I'd pressed record, and it just didn't take. And so I'd done basically a 2-hour lecture, and then I ended the lecture. Some of the students were there with me live, typing questions into the chat box, having a lovely discussion, and I had none of it. So I'm sitting there at my desk at home going, oh, and I plunk my head down on the keyboard, and I'm moaning softly. One of my daughters walks by, and she says, "What's wrong, Mom?" And I said, "Well, I just talked for 2 hours, and it's not recorded, and now I'm going to have to record it all over again for everybody who's working and wasn't there live." And she said, "But Mom, you recorded those lovely lectures last summer. Why don't you use those?" And I said, "Oh." So I put one of those 11-year-old solving your tech problems. So I put one of the Camtasia Relay recordings up, and it did perfectly. And so, it's actually very handy to start recording with Camtasia Relay, which is very easy to use. Things that you might be doing in summer. And I'm not a statistician, and being an art historian, I had to learn other things other than statistics. But a couple of weeks ago, I found in my mailbox a little note and a Pete's Coffee gift card from one of the junior college students who'd taken my summer course in the spring, and saying it was a wonderful experience, thank you so much. And so that's kind of my my way of knowing that that it turned out okay. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.